11 celebrities who have aged
20 years.
badly. What if the flawless Hollywood dream is actually a terrifying,
leaving them
deeply
barely
destructive
recognizable
nightmare in
and drawing to
disguise?
there are instances where the
We
process is
constantly
from
worship
this
the
reality.
perfect faces and untouchable empires of our favorite celebrities.
Gala this
But
year.
what happens when the relentless,
Celebrities mentioned here are
suffocating
no
pressure of
comparisons to
global
characters
fame
from a horror
completely
film,
shatters their reality?
be it
Today, we are violently pulling back the velvet curtain to expose the
graceful as
absolute
we'd hope.
darkest, most
Because
shocking downfalls
I
in
support
modern
a
pop
similar-
culture.
captivating admirers
From
worldwide.
breathtaking
However,
cinematic beauties who destroyed their iconic features in a desperate, terrifying race against time,
Be it from extravagant lifestyles or
untouchable
unfortunate
industry titans
cosmetics.
who completely obliterated their
At the
multi-million-dollar
auditions
legacies
for
in
the
a matter
Ohio
of mere
Valley Summer
seconds.
Theater.
Even the brightest
You will not
stars and
believe
most
the
celebrated
devastating
figures.
secrets that forced their
We can talk about that
spectacular
a little, very
exiles.
upsetting, 'cause that's
Before we uncover these jaw-dropping Hollywood tragedies,
movie ever made and showing us
hit that subscribe button, drop a comment below, and welcome back to American
Have
Icon
outsourced the
Stories.
job.
Never read anything like it.
Johnny Depp. When you envision the absolute untouchable Hollywood heartthrob of the late 20th century, the mesmerizing image of Johnny Depp instantly materializes. From his breathtaking rebellious television debut in 21 Jump Street, to the eccentric, staggering global dominance of Captain Jack Sparrow, he completely redefined the modern cinematic leading man. With his razor-sharp chiseled cheekbones, deeply expressive dark eyes, and undeniable enigmatic charisma,
Well, I wasn't
he
five.
possessed an almost otherworldly beauty that utterly captivated millions of devoted fans across the entire globe. However, the relentless, unforgiving passage of time, violently combined with an incredibly chaotic, intensely scrutinized personal life, has profoundly altered his once flawless visage.
Are you threatening me,
The 62-year-old cinematic legend recently navigated one of the most brutal, highly sensationalized, and deeply agonizing legal battles in the entire history of the entertainment industry. The astronomical, crushing stress of his highly publicized divorce and the subsequent grueling defamation trials exacted an incredibly severe physical and emotional toll. This profound personal turmoil, heavily compounded by a lifelong, unapologetically wild rock and roll lifestyle and quiet internal struggles, inevitably manifested in his physical appearance. Paparazzi lenses and courtroom cameras frequently captured a stark, undeniable transformation. Fans observed noticeable weight fluctuations, a significantly weathered, exhausted complexion, and heavily scrutinized dental changes that stood in stark contrast to his former dashing, pristine idol status. Simultaneously, his monumental career faced a massive, unprecedented halt. Major studio executives abruptly severed long-standing ties, forcing one of the absolute greatest actors of his generation into a sudden, agonizing professional exile. Yet what makes his journey completely mesmerizing is his absolute, unwavering resilience. He may no longer possess the smooth, boyish charm of his early career, but his deeply etched, ruggedly hardened features perfectly mirror the profoundly complex, battle-tested survivor he has become. He has entirely refused to be permanently erased from the artistic landscape. Today, he passionately channels his immense, undeniable creative energy into directing independent European cinema and international music tours. Johnny Depp stands today as a magnificent, deeply seasoned cultural icon, powerfully demonstrating that while immense stress and time leave undeniable, physical scars on the surface, true artistic brilliance remains absolutely indestructible. Mel Gibson. When tracing the monumental history of modern cinematic epics, the name Mel Gibson instantly commands the absolute heights of the Hollywood pantheon. With his ruggedly handsome, captivating charm in legendary action franchises, and his visionary, Academy Award-winning brilliance behind the camera for masterpieces like Braveheart, he was universally perceived as an untouchable golden titan of the silver screen. For decades, he completely dominated the global box office, possessing a rare, staggering blend of leading man magnetism and profound directorial genius. However, this seemingly indestructible empire was not brought down by shifting industry trends or the natural passage of time, but rather by a sudden, incredibly destructive series of highly inflammatory public outbursts.
Oh, wow. 9 kids.
The 70-year-old industry veteran orchestrated one of the most spectacular, rapid falls from grace in modern entertainment history. In mere moments, his pristine public image was completely shattered by highly polarizing, deeply insensitive rhetoric that immediately alienated his most loyal colleagues and sent devastating shockwaves across the entire globe. The severe professional backlash was instantaneous and absolute. Major talent agencies unceremoniously severed their long-standing ties, and the very studio executives who once fiercely championed his cinematic visions completely distanced themselves. The immense crushing weight of this global ostracization undeniably left a visible mark, replacing his vibrant, youthful on-screen energy with a deeply weathered, hardened exterior. Instead of entirely vanishing into the shadows of permanent Hollywood exile, his subsequent journey became a grueling, highly scrutinized path toward professional redemption. While he successfully managed to return to the director's chair, earning critical acclaim for later projects, the profound scars of his past controversies remain permanently etched into his legacy. Mel Gibson stands today as a profoundly complex, intensely debated cultural figure. His breathtaking trajectory serves as a staggering, monumental warning that an entire lifetime of unparalleled artistic achievement and global adoration can be instantly derailed by a single catastrophic loss of personal composure. Kevin Spacey. If you examine the absolute pinnacle of elite, methodically controlled theatrical performances, Kevin Spacey was long considered an entirely unrivaled master of his craft. Armed with 2 prestigious Academy Awards and an incredibly chilling, magnetic on-screen presence, he effortlessly commanded total attention in every single frame he occupied. As the ruthless, mesmerizing anchor of the groundbreaking political drama House of Cards, he was enjoying a spectacular, unprecedented career renaissance, universally celebrated as one of the most brilliant, sophisticated actors of his generation. Yet, his monumental legacy was abruptly and completely obliterated in what felt like a matter of mere seconds, entirely dismantled by a devastating avalanche of severe professional misconduct allegations. The 66-year-old acting powerhouse faced an immediate, absolutely unprecedented industry exile. In a historically shocking move, major film studios went to astronomical financial lengths to literally erase his physical presence from fully completed cinematic projects, while streaming executives unceremoniously terminated his flagship television contract overnight. He was instantly transformed from untouchable Hollywood royalty to a complete industry pariah. As he navigated a grueling, multi-year labyrinth of intense legal scrutiny and highly publicized courtroom battles, the relentless, agonizing stress of fighting to clear his name became undeniably visible. The once sharp, infinitely confident leading man visibly aged under the crushing, suffocating weight of international condemnation. Although recent extensive legal evaluations and rigorous trials have ultimately resulted in significant acquittals and the dismissal of major liabilities, the heavy, invisible doors of mainstream Hollywood remain firmly locked. The deeply cautious entertainment industry has proven fiercely hesitant to welcome back a figure associated with such intense, polarizing controversy. Kevin Spacey currently exists in a deeply complex, unprecedented professional limbo. His incredibly dramatic, breathtaking fall from the absolute zenith of elite stardom stands as a chilling, unforgettable testament to the absolute fragility of fame. He powerfully demonstrates that no amount of undeniable artistic genius or critical prestige can shield an icon from the swift, unforgiving gavel of public and professional exile. Bill Cosby. When we reflect on the absolute most comforting, universally beloved figures in 20th century American television, the name Bill Cosby was once synonymous with wholesome, family-friendly perfection. For decades, he was affectionately crowned America's dad, utilizing his gentle cardigan-wearing persona to break down massive racial barriers and build an incredibly lucrative, historic entertainment empire. He possessed an almost unparalleled level of cultural trust, radiating a paternal warmth that completely captivated millions of living rooms across the entire globe. However, this magnificent, seemingly impenetrable legacy was abruptly and utterly obliterated in what became one of the most spectacular, deeply shocking falls from grace in the entire history of Hollywood. The 88-year-old former comedy titan orchestrated the absolute destruction of his own monumental career when a terrifying avalanche of severe historical allegations completely shattered his pristine public facade. Decades of heavily guarded, deeply disturbing secrets violently breached the surface, revealing a highly sinister pattern of utilizing clinical sedatives to exploit vulnerable individuals. The immediate catastrophic fallout was absolutely unprecedented. In a matter of mere moments, powerful television networks rapidly pulled his iconic syndicated reruns from the airwaves. Prestigious universities instantly rescinded his honorary degrees, and massive corporate sponsors completely severed their highly lucrative ties. His once immortal, golden reputation was instantaneously reduced to absolute ashes. He was ultimately convicted and sentenced to federal prison, a breathtaking reality that left his global fan base in total, absolute disbelief. Although his criminal conviction was later invalidated and overturned strictly due to a deeply complex legal technicality, the profound, unerasable damage to his public image was already permanently cemented. The brutal, unforgiving court of public opinion had already delivered its absolute final verdict. Today, he exists as a completely exiled, highly toxic figure within the very industry he once masterfully dominated, entirely incapable of ever reclaiming his lost crown. Bill Cosby stands as the ultimate chilling cautionary tale of absolute deception. His terrifying story powerfully proves that no amount of historical cultural adoration or immense financial wealth can ultimately conceal the darkest, most devastating truths from eventually coming to light. Charlie Sheen. If you examine the absolute zenith of modern television royalty, Charlie Sheen was once the undisputed charismatic king of primetime sitcoms, commanding an astonishing record-breaking salary of nearly $2 million per single episode. His reign on Two and a Half Men seemed completely invincible. With his effortless devil-may-care smirk and brilliant comedic timing, he perfectly blurred the line between his charming on-screen persona and his wildly unpredictable real life. But behind the deafening roar of studio laughter and the astronomical paychecks, this extraordinarily talented star was rapidly plummeting into a profoundly terrifying, highly destructive abyss of severe chemical reliance that would spectacularly detonate his entire acting empire. The 60-year-old television icon experienced what is arguably the most explosive,
because I
heavily
support a
televised
similar
career meltdown in the
entrance.
history of the modern entertainment industry. His deeply rooted historical struggles with severe substance dependency violently breached the surface, transforming his private battles into a highly alarming manic public spectacle. As his unpredictable, erratic behavior escalated on set, he launched a barrage of deeply offensive, highly inflammatory public insults directed squarely at the very powerful showrunners who built his massive platform. The absolute breaking point arrived swiftly and unceremoniously. In a shocking, unprecedented move, network executives immediately terminated his wildly lucrative contract, abruptly slamming the door on his magnificent, untouchable television reign. The intense, agonizing stress of his very public, wildly chaotic downward spiral undeniably took a severe, visible toll on his once boyish, incredibly handsome features. However, the incredibly fascinating reality of his turbulent journey is his recent, deeply profound evolution. Instead of permanently remaining in the chaotic shadows of his explosive past, he has fiercely fought to reclaim his total clarity. Demonstrating immense, highly unexpected maturity, he has openly taken absolute, unwavering ownership of his historical actions, bravely confessing that his heavily criticized behavior was desperately juvenile and fueled by a terrifying, suffocating ocean of stress and severe intoxication. Charlie Sheen stands today as a magnificent, deeply complex survivor of his own chaotic creation. He powerfully demonstrates that even after completely torching a spectacular, multi-million-dollar empire, absolute personal accountability can beautifully pave the way toward a quiet, meaningful redemption. Amber Heard. When you envision a rapidly ascending, fiercely ambitious leading lady poised to completely dominate the modern cinematic landscape, Amber Heard was standing at the absolute precipice of monumental global superstardom. An immensely lucrative starring role in the billion-dollar Aquaman superhero franchise, her trajectory seemed entirely unstoppable. However, this magnificent Hollywood dream was abruptly and violently derailed, transforming into one of the most sensationalized, deeply polarizing, and heavily broadcasted legal spectacles in the entire history of pop culture. The 39-year-old actress watched her pristine, carefully cultivated A-list career completely disintegrate under the crushing, suffocating weight of an unprecedented global media frenzy. The absolute epicenter of her staggering professional collapse was the intensely scrutinized, grueling 7-week defamation trial involving her highly famous ex-husband, Johnny Depp. As the agonizingly intimate, deeply chaotic details of their fractured marriage were broadcasted live to millions of viewers daily, her public image was relentlessly dissected and aggressively vilified across every single social media platform on the planet. The fierce, unrelenting backlash was absolutely catastrophic. She faced massive online petitions demanding her immediate removal from major blockbuster sequels, proving that the brutal, unforgiving court of public opinion had already delivered a devastating professional verdict. Following the jury's unanimous decision, she eventually settled the grueling dispute, releasing a profoundly disheartened statement confessing her total loss of faith in the American judicial system and highlighting the agonizing reality of internet vitriol. The unimaginable, terrifying stress of becoming one of the most intensely criticized women on earth undeniably exacted a severe, visible toll, replacing her triumphant red carpet radiance with a deeply exhausted, battle-weary exterior. In a desperate, highly necessary bid for peace and survival, she effectively vanished from the blinding, toxic glare of the Hollywood spotlight, quietly relocating overseas to entirely rebuild her shattered life away from the relentless paparazzi lenses. Amber Heard stands today as a profoundly complex and intensely debated cultural figure. Her breathtaking, highly explosive fall from grace serves as a staggering, monumental warning about the terrifying, destructive power of modern digital trials, proving that a brilliant cinematic career can be utterly dismantled in the blink of an eye. Lindsay Lohan. If you trace the absolute zenith of early 2000s pop culture, Lindsay Lohan was the undisputed, universally adored crown princess of young Hollywood. With her signature fiery red hair, infectious freckled smile, and an incredibly rare lightning-in-a-bottle comedic timing showcased in beloved classics like Mean Girls and Freaky Friday, she completely captured the hearts of an entire generation. She possessed a phenomenal, effortless, on-screen magnetism that major studios were desperately eager to bank on. Yet the crushing, suffocating weight of unprecedented child stardom violently collided with the vicious, hyper-aggressive tabloid culture of the era. The 39-year-old former teen idol plummeted into a deeply terrifying, highly destructive spiral that would orchestrate one of the most spectacular, heartbreaking professional meltdowns in modern entertainment history. Thrust into the chaotic,
and I live a very
blinding
normal life.
epicenter of the infamous Los Angeles nightlife. Seen at a dangerously young age, her magnificent trajectory was entirely hijacked by severe substance dependency and relentless partying. The absolute breaking point occurred during the highly publicized summer of 2007. A catastrophic string of terrifying DUI arrests, highly circulated mugshots, and subsequent court-ordered rehabilitation stints completely shattered her pristine, family-friendly Disney image. Her profound internal struggles manifested in deeply erratic behavior on massive film sets, infuriating powerful studio executives, and leading to the devastating absolute worst label an actor can receive: uninsurable. The once untouchable Golden Girl was abruptly exiled from the very industry she grew up in, her immense billion-dollar potential utterly decimated in a flurry of flashing cameras and legal gavels. The tremendous, agonizing toll of her chaotic youth and the relentless, predatory media scrutiny visibly transformed her, temporarily stripping away her radiant, carefree innocence. However, the truly breathtaking reality of her turbulent journey is her magnificent, quiet resilience. Instead of allowing the Hollywood machine to permanently destroy her spirit, she bravely stepped entirely away from the toxic American paparazzi, relocating to Europe and Dubai to fiercely protect her peace and conquer her demons. Today, Lindsay Lohan is beautifully, gracefully reclaiming her narrative, slowly stepping back into the cinematic light on her own terms. Her deeply profound journey serves as a staggering, beautiful testament to survival, proving that even after completely losing your crown to the shadows, you can absolutely rise from the ashes and rewrite your own ending. Sarah Jessica Parker. When you think of the ultimate, undisputed queen of Manhattan high fashion, you instantly envision Sarah Jessica Parker confidently strutting down Fifth Avenue in her iconic designer heels.
Auditions
From her
for the
incredibly
Ohio
vibrant
Valley Summer
beginnings as a
Theater's
brilliant
production
child prodigy
of
on
Once
the prestigious Broadway stages to capturing our collective hearts in beloved timeless cinematic classics, she spent decades meticulously building a formidable, multi-million-dollar entertainment empire. As the spectacularly stylish Carrie Bradshaw, she completely revolutionized modern television, becoming a breathtaking global symbol of absolute feminine independence and avant-garde glamour. However, stepping away from the glittering, perfectly lit television sets, this magnificent 61-year-old icon has been aggressively subjected to one of the most ruthless,
very upsetting,
deeply unforgiving public scrutinies
that's
regarding
not the way
the
I
natural
recall.
human aging process in the entire history of Hollywood. While leading men are frequently celebrated for their rugged maturity, the brutal tabloid culture viciously targeted Parker for simply daring to age naturally. Her distinctly slender physique and the beautiful, expressive lines on her face, the very maps of a life richly lived, were relentlessly magnified and heavily criticized by an industry obsessed with a deeply terrifying, impossible illusion of eternal youth. She was heartbreakingly subjected to incredibly cruel media rankings and aggressive paparazzi lenses that desperately sought to entirely diminish her monumental artistic contributions. The immense, suffocating stress of maintaining a flawless public image, heavily compounded by highly publicized, agonizing rumors within her personal life, undeniably exacted a visible toll on her famous silhouette. Yet what makes her spectacular journey absolutely mesmerizing is her fierce, unapologetic refusal to surrender to the surgeon's knife just to appease a deeply shallow, hypercritical media landscape. Instead of frantically attempting to erase her beautiful history, she stands fiercely tall, gracefully embracing her completely authentic self. Sarah Jessica Parker remains a magnificent, profoundly resilient trailblazer, powerfully proving that true, enduring elegance is never defined by the absolute absence of wrinkles. She spectacularly demonstrates that genuine beauty is rooted in the breathtaking grace, immense talent, and unyielding confidence with which a woman proudly walks through the relentless passing of time. James Franco. If you trace the absolute zenith of modern multi-hyphenate artistic brilliance, James Franco was universally celebrated as the ultimate untouchable Renaissance man of Hollywood.
One fight.
Armed with a breathtakingly versatile
Not
talent,
one fight. He was
an
my
infectious, boyish charm, and a highly prestigious Academy Award nomination. He effortlessly conquered everything from massive blockbuster superhero franchises to critically acclaimed, deeply experimental independent cinema.
And showing
He
us how it
possessed a
got.
phenomenal
It was a bold
golden
choice. I mean, that did
aura
appeal to me.
that
I mean,
made him
Seth
one of the
Rogen,
most fiercely sought after, universally beloved leading men on the entire planet. However, this magnificent, seemingly indestructible cinematic empire completely imploded in an incredibly swift, highly destructive wave of severe professional controversies. The 48-year-old acting powerhouse orchestrated one of the most spectacular, deeply shocking falls from grace in modern entertainment history. The absolute epicenter of his staggering career collapse occurred when a highly alarming series of allegations violently breached the surface, exposing a deeply troubling pattern of compromised professional boundaries and profound workplace impropriety. As incredibly serious accusations regarding his conduct as a mentor and filmmaker rapidly mounted, the immediate, catastrophic fallout was absolutely unprecedented. The fierce, unrelenting backlash completely dismantled his carefully curated, quirky, artistic persona. In a deeply agonizing, highly public display of absolute industry exile, prestigious Hollywood publications abruptly erased his physical presence from their elite covers, and powerful studios immediately halted his highly anticipated upcoming projects. Even more devastatingly, his closest, most trusted comedic collaborators and longtime industry brothers completely severed their highly lucrative professional ties, fiercely distancing themselves from the blinding, toxic epicenter of his scandal. Although he eventually reached highly confidential, multi-million-dollar legal settlements to quietly resolve the agonizing disputes, the profound, unerasable damage to his pristine public image was already permanently cemented. He was violently stripped of his coveted A-list status, completely banished to the quiet, invisible margins of the very industry he once masterfully dominated. James Franco stands today as a profoundly tragic, deeply cautionary figure. His breathtaking trajectory serves as a staggering, monumental warning that an entire lifetime of brilliant artistic achievement can be instantly, irrevocably obliterated when a terrifying lack of professional accountability finally catches up to the spotlight. Meg Ryan. When you picture the absolute golden era of romantic comedies, the sparkling, undeniably radiant image of Meg Ryan immediately captures your heart. With her signature feathered blonde hair, infectious, crinkly-eyed smile, and an incredibly effortless girl-next-door charm, she was universally crowned America's sweetheart. She completely dominated the massive global box office throughout the 1980s and 90s, establishing a magnificent, multi-million-dollar cinematic empire built on pure natural charisma. However, the deeply terrifying, invisible pressure of maintaining that flawless, youthful perfection in an industry notoriously cruel to aging women eventually pushed this beloved icon toward a highly scrutinized, deeply tragic physical transformation. At the absolute height of her breathtaking Hollywood reign, the 64-year-old superstar made the fiercely brave decision to step entirely away from the blinding limelight, citing profound, overwhelming burnout. But when she eventually re-emerged onto the highly televised red carpets of prestigious award shows and elite Paris fashion weeks, the public was met with an absolutely staggering, deeply disorienting shock. Her once familiar, incredibly expressive face appeared profoundly altered. Paparazzi lenses captured a strikingly taut, unnaturally swollen complexion and heavily refined features that sparked an absolute wildfire of cosmetic surgery speculation. Despite her firm, consistent denials of going under the surgical knife, prominent aesthetic experts aggressively theorized that a series of intense, misguided anti-aging treatments had completely erased the natural, brilliant essence that originally made her a global phenomenon. Her incredibly heartbreaking physical evolution serves as a spectacular, deeply somber, cautionary tale about the unforgiving, toxic beauty standards of modern entertainment. It vividly demonstrates that the desperate, frantic race to artificially freeze the relentless hands of time frequently results in the tragic loss of one's most unique, beautifully authentic features. Meg Ryan stands today as a profoundly fascinating cultural figure, powerfully proving that no amount of astronomical wealth or elite medical intervention can ever truly outsmart the natural, dignified grace of human aging, leaving fans fiercely nostalgic for the completely untouched, brilliant smile that once effortlessly lit up the silver screen. Donatella Versace. If you examine the absolute untouchable zenith of global high fashion and elite runway royalty, Donatella Versace is a fiercely commanding, immortal titan. Following the deeply tragic sudden loss of her visionary brother, she bravely stepped into the blinding, high-stakes epicenter of the legendary Italian design house, brilliantly steering the multi-billion-dollar empire to unprecedented international dominance. With her signature platinum blonde hair and heavily lined piercing eyes, she completely embodies the extravagant, opulent luxury of the brand she fiercely protects. Yet, behind the glamorous velvet-roped VIP events and the flawless supermodel she dresses, this 70-year-old fashion monarch has subjected herself to one of the most extreme, visually jarring physical transformations in the entire history of pop culture. Living under the crushing, suffocating pressure of an industry that practically worships eternal youth and visual perfection, she embarked on an endless, deeply destructive labyrinth of extreme cosmetic interventions. What likely began as a desperate, understandable attempt to merely stave off the natural, inevitable signs of aging rapidly devolved into a terrifying, highly visible addiction to the surgeon's knife. Over the decades, her once striking natural Mediterranean features were completely obliterated by relentless, aggressive alterations. The public watched in absolute morbid fascination as her face became drastically unrecognizable, marked by unnaturally inflated lips, intensely stretched, waxy skin, and a rigidly frozen expression that entirely defies normal human anatomy. Her profoundly startling appearance has heartbreakingly transformed her from a classic Italian beauty into a stark, living caricature of extreme aesthetic excess. Donatella Versace remains a magnificently powerful, undisputed genius in the cutthroat world of international fashion, yet her deeply shocking physical reality serves as the ultimate glaring warning against the intoxicating, dangerous allure of artificial beauty. She spectacularly proves that when limitless financial wealth violently collides with a terrifying, deeply rooted fear of aging, the relentless pursuit of surgical perfection can tragically backfire, leaving behind a heavily distorted, unrecognizable facade that completely masks the brilliant, undeniably powerful woman existing underneath the dramatic designer surface. We have just witnessed the profoundly heartbreaking, often terrifying realities of what happens when unprecedented global fame violently collides with human frailty. These staggering stories of severe physical transformations and explosive career meltdowns force us to aggressively question the true lethal cost of living under the blinding Hollywood spotlight. Now, I want to turn this intense, highly complex conversation over to you. Are these fallen superstars entirely responsible for their own devastating downfalls? Or is the ruthless, hypercritical entertainment machine ultimately to blame for pushing them toward extreme surgeries and self-destruction? Where exactly do we draw the line between holding celebrities accountable and offering them basic human empathy? I need you to ignite a fierce, passionate debate in the comments section below. Smash that like button, subscribe for more shocking truths, and keep watching American Icon Stories.